Every World War II film you've ever seen has been feeding you whoppers about tanks. Not harmless embellishments, spectacular, physics-ignoring nonsense that would have gotten real crews killed in minutes. The same recycled myths have been rolling across screens for 8 decades, and now millions think that's how armored combat worked. Let's put them in the grave. Myth number 1. Tank battles were high-speed duels. Think of Fury. Shermans barreling across fields at 40 mm, firing while bouncing over ruts. Fun to watch. Completely bogus. Here's what firing on the move actually looked like. You missed. Consistently. A Sherman rolling at only 10 mm had less than a 1% chance of hitting a stationary target at 500 meters. The Germans realized moving fire wasted shells, so they formally forbade it, except in emergencies. Real fights happened at a crawl, or from a complete stop. Crews preferred to risk exposure rather than squander precious ammunition. One veteran summed it up. We moved, we halted, we aimed, we shot. Hollywood sells a demolition derby with guns. Reality was more like chess under fire. And that gyro stabilizer movies love to glamorize. It helped keep the gun roughly oriented while the tank jostled along. Useful, yes, but it didn't turn a Sherman into a sniper on tracks. Myth number 2. One hit equals a flaming mushroom cloud. In the movies, any shell strike detonates a tank like a gas tanker, turret cartwheeling, instant annihilation. Truth is duller and deadlier. Most penetrating hits didn't produce any external explosion. U.S. studies concluded only 15% of knocked-out Shermans actually burned. The majority were simply penetrated. The crew was shredded by spall and fragments, and the vehicle rolled to a stop. No fireworks, no turret flying, just a ragged hole and death inside. Even the infamous Ronson jab, lights the first time, every time, was only partly true. Shermans tended to burn when high-explosive shells inside cooked off, not because the fuel turned them into firebombs. By 1944, wet ammunition storage dropped ignition rates to under 10%. That scene doesn't play in a blockbuster. A tank is hit, nothing dramatic outside, cut inside to a crew cut down by splinters. Not exactly box office material. Myth number 3. Tanks shot straight through buildings. In countless scenes, armor fires through 2 or 3 walls and nails a hidden enemy on the far side. That's not how tank guns behaved. A 75mm Sherman round hitting brick would detonate on the surface. You might get a breach or a collapsed section, but that shell didn't keep trucking like a rifle bullet. The same went for German 88E meter rounds. Tankers learned fast. One brick wall could stop any tank round from passing through intact. Real urban fighting meant blasting structures with high explosive to bring them down onto defenders, not threading shots through masonry as if it were cardboard. As one Panzer commander put it, the Americans assumed we could punch through their cover. We let them assume. In reality, we maneuvered around. Myth number 4. Tank crews had godlike visibility. On screen, commanders ride high, surveying everything. Gunners pan smoothly through pristine glass. In reality, crews were nearly blind. A buttoned-up Sherman driver peered through a slot about 4 inches across. The gunner's sight offered a window roughly the size of a dinner plate at 100 meters. The commander, spinning his cupola, could miss an entire enemy platoon 200 meters away if it stayed still. German trials found that buttoned-up crews overlooked 60% of visible targets simply because they couldn't see them. Why did so many commanders risk standing in the hatch with snipers everywhere? Because the alternative was literal tunnel vision. One commander explained it this way. Inside, you see the world through a toilet paper tube. Outside, you invite snipers. We chose snipers. Myth number 5, ramming was a legit tactic. Movies love the dramatic smash. Tank A slams Tank B. Victory by collision. In real combat, it essentially didn't happen. Maybe 3 documented cases in the entire war, and those came from accidents or last-ditch desperation. Physics tells you why. A 30-ton Sherman striking a 45-ton Panther at 20 mph would ruin both vehicles' drivetrains. Tracks snap, transmissions crack, and both crews get concussed or worse. The Sherman would likely end up immobilized right in front of an enemy gun. Congratulations. You've just committed the most expensive form of suicide. Soviet training explicitly forbade ramming except as a final, already doomed choice. The rare attempts almost always ended with both tanks stuck and crews spraying each other at point-blank range. The reality is far less cinematic. Real armored warfare was slow, nerve-shredding, and deliberate. Crews fought half-blind, fired from a halt, and often died without spectacle. Most engagements were won by whoever spotted first and got the opening accurate shot, not by swashbuckling duels across open fields. But quiet competence doesn't fill seats, so Hollywood keeps recycling the same flash. And myths harden into memory. The real story, the math of survival, the geometry of angles and positions, the psychology of fighting inside steel coffins, is vastly more compelling than the pyrotechnics. It just doesn't bloom into a screen-filling fireball.